Hello and welcome. We got a bit of a different video today. I recently have been trying to fill in gaps in my game collection on my retro consoles. So I went onto eBay and I happened to purchase two Sega Genesis that were listed as not working. One of them, it turned out, just needed a new power cable and everything's fine. The other one's a little more complicated. It turns on and everything looks good on it, but I'm getting nothing on the controller input. So we're gonna go ahead and open up the Sega Genesis, see what's going on, and hopefully have a second Sega that I can use to mod and do other fun things with. Alright, so here we have the Genesis, and as you can see, this case has seen better days. I'm not sure what happened up here, but there's no coming back from this on the case. It's kind of hard to tell, but right here at the top, and I will try and get that angle just a little bit better, but right here, this is actually a gouge mark, and there's something white filling in this pocket mark. I'm not sure what the person was doing to this, but honestly, it looks almost as if they took a piece of sandpaper, sanded this area down, and then tried to backfill it with some sort of white putty or something. I'm not sure, but we are going to do our best to kind of clean up this case in general, just so I can get it to the most acceptable standard for myself. It is extremely easy to get into the Sega Genesis. It is only secured by 4 screws on the bottom, so let's just go ahead and get that removed right now. There we go. And we're just going to take these 4 screws. I'm just going to put them right here in the top. So right away, I got some concern looking at this shell. If I can get the glare to stop reflecting, you can see that there's actually, it looks like a good amount of rust on this. Let me try and get out of the glare here. I mean, yeah, look at that. It looks like there's a good amount of rust. It looks almost as if maybe a kid spilled a soda on this or something, because the uniformity of the rust, if just a capacitor had broken, I'd expect to see, like right here, if there's a capacitor under this spot, I wouldn't be surprised to see one very pronounced circular spot. But just kind of the uniformity, it looks like either this was stored out in someone's garage where moisture was able to get into it frequently, or this had a soda or a cup of water or something spilt on it. So anyway, what we'll do is I'll put this in a mixture of vinegar and baking soda, and after I give it about 20 minutes, then we'll pull it out and see if I can't use a gentle steel wool just kind of get this all cleared up. Now to actually get this RF shield off, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 right there screws. So we'll go ahead and take these off, and thankfully Genesis wasn't too evil, and everything in here is just all your standard Phillips head screws. So looking at the bottom side of this, I don't see too much in the way of rust and stuff, so I do think that my initial guess was right. Like a little bit has come through on the rust, like here in the corners, right here, which that might be leading to this capacitor right here, maybe not, but I think my first guess is right, that someone spilled something on the top of this. But anyway, off it goes into my vinegar pool. Now the Sega Genesis also has an RF shield on the bottom of it. And I want to get this off and put it in the vinegar bath also, because I suspect we're going to find more rust down there. And all I need to do is take off the 2 screws on either side of the cartridge slot. Now you can see when you take off these screws that instead of it being this brass color of the other ones, these are a little bit longer and they are in fact a black screw. So I'm just going to set these down and note that this goes to the cartridge slot. And right here I'm realizing that I still have my green screen chroma key set up, so I'm going to turn this off so you can actually see the real color of the Sega. Alright, now with those removed, you can see that really easily this just comes out. You got to tilt it up just a little bit to get the controller ports past this molding at the front, but then it comes right out. I'm going to go ahead and take off this black piece. This is just to keep the cartridge connectors from making contact with the RF shield. So we'll set this to the side so we can use it later. And yeah, sure enough, look at that. There's just rust all over the bottom of this. And yeah, I'm thinking someone spilled something on this, because this is actually the exact pattern of the grating below it. So either this was exposed to moisture or someone spilled something on it. Either way, let's put it into the vinegar bath and we'll be good to go. I'm gonna put in just enough vinegar to cover these things up, and hopefully it doesn't take too much because I did not realize how low I was on vinegar. But we want just enough in there. Oh, to cover it completely. Oh, that's just barely not enough, but we'll see what we can't do with this. I might have to flip it a couple times in order to get everything covered up. But I'm also going to add, on top of the vinegar, just a little baking soda. All right, we'll let that sit for about 20 minutes and we'll come back and see how it's doing. So looking at the bottom of this board, one of the things that really jumps out to me is that there is this kind of a blackish line going across the traces from the controller ports. So I'm wondering if maybe I got a break here in the PCB that's preventing the ports from working perfectly. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out my multimeter and I'm gonna test continuity to make sure that everything's fine across here. All right, we're good to go. Let's see, let's start just by testing. Yep, all that's fine. Now this is it's either a resistor or capacitor, I forget, on the other side. So I can test that real quick with my multimeter, and just like that, I do see that I have a consistent, looks to be about 1800 ohms across there. So all that's fine, but I won't get continuity across the resistor like that. So let's see, following my trace up, let's see, 1, 2, 3 on the fourth one down. I follow this around, 1, 2, 3. Okay, good continuity there. Now one thing I'm noticing is that these solder jobs on the controller ports, they're not looking the best, to be honest. Wonder if I touch the top of the pin here. Yeah, I'm not getting any sort of continuity. Wow, on any of them? Okay, so I think I know what went wrong. These controllers, their ports are not, either time has caused the solder to break off, I'm not getting a good connection, or someone tried to replace this at some point and it just went wrong. Now one of the things I did notice on this board, up here at the top, we'll try and get this to focus real quick. Up here at the top, you can see that they just did 2 bare wires jumping from the DC port on the back of it to what heads down to the regulator eventually. Now I had to ask around about this because I thought someone was trying to mod this system, and what I found out is that this is just the standard practice of Sega at the time. Usually it was usually it's like an insulated wire instead of this bare stuff. But what I'm going to do is I actually found some nasty black tape sitting on top of this that I really wasn't impressed with. So I'm going to go ahead and desolder this, clean up this area with a little isopropylene, and there's also just a couple other spots I'm going to clean up while I'm at it. And then I'm going to resolder these joints down here because I think things have just gotten too loose. So we'll go ahead and add some fresh solder onto that, and I think we'll be good to go. Now I'm sorry I don't have a better camera to let you zoom in and see what I'm doing, but I'm just real quickly heating up the solder, which it's definitely seen some better days, and adding a little fresh solder to each one. Now I could technically be putting some flux on this. I just don't feel the need for it right now. Not on something as simple as this. If it was more precise, I probably would. Let's go ahead and check that. So now I should be able to touch the top of, say, this pin. And look at that. Yep. That is what should be happening. Okay, we'll go ahead and do player 1 while we're at it. I need to get a new solder tip for this one. It's seen a lot of duty, and it's starting to get some oxidation on there. And I have a little wire that I use to clean it off, but even with that, it's still seeing the end of its life. Anyway, before I put all this back, let's go ahead and clean it up, and then let's address these two over here. And I'm going to put some insulated on it. I'm actually also going to maybe twist the wires a little bit. That's probably not necessary. I'll at least do some insulated wire because I don't like the way that this just sits bare on top of the vias. Okay, I'm just going to gently scrub over this stuff with a toothbrush. Now this right here, this does have me a little concerned. It is a big old black splurch across all the vias. And on the other side is I believe it's the timing crystal. And I don't like that. That looks like the crystal may have been damaged. I might have to replace that before everything's said and done. I'm pretty sure this is Coke. I'm feeling some slight stickiness across a lot of the board, to be honest. Is it my brush? Is my brush putting the gumminess on it? What on earth? What would that be? Okay, I'm gonna try this little microfiber cloth because it almost feels like my brush somehow, maybe there's a gummy patch and I'm just spreading it everywhere. We'll gently go over it with this. Yeah, I think it was the brush I was using. Something must have gotten on that I'm unaware of. It's a brand new toothbrush, but something got onto it. Okay, that's feeling a lot better. I still got some sticky spots, which let me know if you ever run into a problem like that, where you've been cleaning off a PCB and were quite surprised to find that cleaning it made it sticky somehow. I mean, unless Sega just left flux all over this thing when they sent it, which, my goodness, I hope not. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine using a little isopropylene on PCB and give it the sticky feeling afterwards. I've never had this happen before when I've cleaned things up. While we're at it, we'll go ahead and just real quick clean these connectors. Okay, with that strangeness out of the way, let's go ahead and address this spot right here. Okay, so I'm going to start off just by adding a little more solder to these points. So I think that'll make it just a little bit easier for me to lift this up here in a second. Oh, wow, they put a lot of solder on this point. So let's add more. All right, we're going to heat this up now and see if we can't get the... Yeah, there we go. Real nice and gently pull that up so we don't damage the trace underneath it. Perfect. Now we're going to heat up the other side. All right. All right, then we're going to do that again for this second one. Be real careful on this one. It just seems a little more stuck in there. All right. Now I'm kind of making a guess here, but I'm assuming the outside is my power and the inside is my ground. It doesn't really matter since I'm going to be the only one who ever sees this unless I sell it. But I'm going to use a blue on the outside and a gray on the inside because unfortunately I don't have red and black right now.
Hey, Future Matt here. I just need to jump in for a minute and tell you what happened. The wire I typically use for my projects is a 14 gauge wire. I have to do this for the sort of work I do professionally. And that ended up being a little bit completely too thick to fit in the Sega Genesis. So what I had to do is scrounge around through all my tool bags until I found 16 gauge wire, and this just barely fits in there. I would have loved to be able to find just a little bit smaller wire, 18, maybe even 20 gauge, to fit this area better. You saw the bare wire that was there originally. I didn't need a super thick cable to replace it with. I just wanted something a little better insulated. So I'm going to skip over all the parts where I'm messing around with the wrong wire and just show you this one picture of how it looked in the end. It's not my best soldering job, but I made do with the wire I had on hand, and it turned out reasonably well.
Okay, so I'm just going to use the steel wool, which is a grade 40, or quadruple zero, however you want to say that. And yeah, look at that. It just comes right off. And here's the other one. And yeah, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of baking soda, and this just comes, all the rest just comes right off without any effort. I mean, this, like I said, this is a grade 0000 steel wool, and it's just, I don't have to use any pressure, it's just coming right off. So it's not going to get rid of the black marks. That's permanent damage, unfortunately, but I have stopped the rust, so we won't have any more rust spreading throughout the system. And that's the important thing. And with that, I'm pretty satisfied. So I'm gonna go rinse this off under some water to get all the chemical reactions to stop. We'll let it dry out, put it back together, and see if everything works. Okay, so I realized that before I put everything back together, I really want that RF shield to have a good time to dry out. So after I rinsed it off, I put it into the hot Texas sun, and we're just gonna try this sitting loose in the box. Okay, so far so good. And just like that, I have a second working Sega. Okay, let's make sure that player 2 works. Now, one thing I noticed as soon as I plugged this in is that it was no longer lining up the way it was supposed to. I'm not sure if this is because I'm using too thick of wires in the back now, which they were really a little bit too thick, or if it's because the RF shield's not in there. Okay, everything for Tails looks to be good also.
Alright, so one last thing I want to do before I call this repair complete is I want to get this case clean. As you can see, there is just a lot of nasty stuff and scratches on the front of this case, and I did some research and everyone seems to be saying that a good way to clean this is just to gently go over it with a magic eraser type pad. Now, I don't know, maybe mine's just a little bit old, but by the time I get to the end of this, I actually wasn't overly impressed with how good of a cleaning job it did. In fact, the ones I saw online specifically said you need to be really careful when you're doing the magic eraser to make sure you don't erase over the Genesis or the Sega white paint on the console, because they said if you go over it, you'll actually risk erasing it. Now you can see I'm kind of doing a couple gentle tests to see if I do erase it right here, and I didn't. So I'm not sure if my pad was just too old, or if maybe this is a bit of a bogus claim, or maybe I had an off-brand and you need to have the real brand of magic eraser. But either way, this definitely wasn't causing any kind of damage to the Sega there at the front. You can see I go over it, or the Genesis up at the top. And it did take me quite a bit of effort. This was a real dirty system. You can see I'm trying to just really get inside, not just the scratches and stuff, but get inside the deep crevices. Now I'm flipping it over here. I'm trying to get the inside clean also, just because I do think that maybe a soda was spilled on this. Maybe it was just water, but that corrosion and a little bit of stickiness that showed up, it really made me think that something worse than just water was spilled on this. So I want to make sure I'm getting just the basics of the inside all cleaned up here. And yeah, I mean, it's looking better than when I started, but there's still a good amount of gunk in there. And I tried real hard to get down into that groove that surrounds the cartridge point here, but for the life of me, I just couldn't get the pad to get it clean. I really wish I had a good toothbrush I could use, but apparently all my toothbrushes were dipped in solvent or varnish or something when I wasn't looking, because that was just horrible. I also wish I had a toothbrush. Here I'm trying to get kind of the vent on the back, and it didn't work very well. When all this dried, I tried rinsing it out in the sink also so these chemicals weren't sitting on the plastic for long terms, but everything I tried, I wish I had just a little bit of a toothbrush that I could get down in the harder reach places. And I got some nasty vinegar on my workbench, so I'm kind of cleaning this up too real quick just to get some of that blackness off of my nice workbench area. And I cleaned that up fairly well, so here I am. I'm also going to just do a quick once over on the bottom of the case. It wasn't too bad, but it did need a little bit of cleaning. And I wonder if this 1-800-USA Sega number is still valid. I'm not going to try calling it, but I do wonder if it's been disconnected, or if there's anyone who's inherited that number who still answers the phone. Now, one of the things I read about and watched online is that some people have seen better results when cleaning up these cases when using something like Pledge. So I am going to try to get some of that here soon. I'm going to give it a once over and kind of do some comparisons of, what it looked like when I started cleaning and repairing this, what it looks like now, and what it looks like maybe after I do some Pledge. So we'll see which one comes out best, and you guys can be the judge. Well guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this bit of a different video, and I really hope that, because I have several more repair projects that I'm going to need to do. And that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please share it, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that bell icon to be kept up to date with all the new videos that I release on this channel. And as always, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.